What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to World According to Briggs. Have you ever wondered what state has the most coastline? I did, and I thought I'd take a look. When I started the research on this subject, I thought I knew what all 10 were going to be. I was wrong on about half of them. Some made the list that I expected to make the list, but they're further or higher up on the list in different places. You have the basics like Florida and California that we all know have giant coastlines. I thought Florida would be number one for sure, and I thought California would be right behind it. I was wrong. They're on the list, they're just not in the places I thought they'd be. This list is ranked by how many miles of coastline each one of these states have, and will also include a beach or some beach towns that maybe you should check out in these places, like hidden gems you may not know about. Maybe the locals do, outsiders don't. The 10 states with the most coastline in the United States are from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. They did the list. All right, let's take a look. Number 10, Maryland. The Free State has a ton of coastline. You might not know it if you're just thinking about Maryland, because really they only have this one little patch that faces, let's say, the Atlantic Ocean. But they got the Chesapeake Bay, and that is filled with miles and miles and miles of coastline. I have an Army buddy that grew up and now lives again on Kent Island in the Chesapeake Bay. It's like just across from Annapolis. I asked him about where the local hidden gem beach or beach town is, and he said there's really too many to choose from, so it's a preference thing. And he said he's always liked Kent Island. He grew up there, so he's used to it. He said, but below Chesapeake Beach, which is a town, North Beach, south of there's a place called Breezy Point Beach. It's a campground also. He said that's his favorite. A lot of his friends go there, and he's met up with people there. It's just a great spot. He had a lot of fond memories there, but he said it's not too crowded, and it's a nice place. Maryland has 3,190 miles of coastline. That includes the Chesapeake Bay with all its little islands and all its little inlets, like Tangiers Island, which is slowly becoming underwater, so I don't know if that'll count as more coastline or less. Yes, Tangiers Island is sinking. Number 9, Michigan. At number 9, we have the Wolverine State, and I'm sure a lot of you are a little surprised because it's not on a coast. It's actually inland, so how could it have a bunch of beach? Well, it's the Great Lakes. Michigan has tons of little islands, inlets, and it has coastline on 4 of the Great Lakes: Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, and Lake Erie. Just a little bit of Lake Erie, but still, it touches 4 of the Great Lakes. I reached out on Facebook to a friend who's from Michigan. He hasn't lived there in years, but he knows Michigan pretty good. He's from Lansing and not really a coastal area, so he said that every little town has their own little hidden gem beach that all the locals go to that nobody knows about. He said he spent a few summers at Duck Lake State Park, and it was nice and not nearly as crowded as Traverse City. So Traverse City's really nice too. It is just a tourist spot, though. Michigan has 3,224 miles of coastline. Number 8, Virginia. Virginia is just like Maryland. It sits on the Chesapeake Bay, and it's got a bunch of inlets and peninsulas and bays, and a few more miles of oceanfront property on the Atlantic. I was looking at the map, and in a couple different areas, the border with Maryland and Virginia looks like it's about 30 yards off the beach. So if you swim too far out, you're now in Maryland. One of the most popular beaches on the East Coast is Virginia Beach, Virginia, and that's where the crowds go in Virginia. One of the lesser known places is Cape Charles. That is across the Chesapeake Bay from the Newport News, Hampton area. Here's a brain check. Is there a tunnel or a bridge across the mouth of the Chesapeake Bay? That will get you from the Virginia Beach side to the Cape Charles side. I'll give you the answer at the end of number 2. Virginia has 3,315 miles of coastline. Number 7, Texas. The Lone Star State kind of surprised me. I wasn't thinking Texas had that much coastline, and then when I actually took a look, I'm all, oh yeah, they do. They have a ton of coastline. You got the Gulf Coast, and then there's Trinity Bay and the Corpus Christi Bay, so they got a lot of real estate that's on the water. The big beaches everyone goes to are Corpus Christi and South Padre Island, but if you want to get to one where not too many people are at, it's San Jose Island, which is just northeast of Corpus Christi Bay. Texas has 3,359 miles of coastline. Number 6, North Carolina. The Tar Heel State is another state that you probably didn't think had that much coastline, but like so many other ones on this list, they got a lot of bays, inlets, sounds, and of course the barrier islands. Out there near the Virginia border is a place called Corova. This place is a little hard to get to. You actually have to drive down the beach to get to Corova. The The beach is pretty cool, and the city or town or whatever you want to call it is very interesting. They don't have any paved roads, it's all sand, and they got wild horses that live in this area. Sort of hard to get to, so you sort of don't have that many tourists showing up here. It's kind of pristine. North Carolina has 3,375 miles of coastline. Number 5, California. I am surprised this one's only at number 5. This is one of the ones that shocked me. I was completely surprised at this one. What is different about California versus some of the other ones on this list, they don't have a lot of big bays. They have the San Francisco Bay Area. That one's huge. But they don't have a lot of it. I mean, Los Angeles and everything else, other than curves and stuff like that and a few peninsulas, it's pretty much a straight shot, straight up to Oregon from San Diego. California has 3,427 miles of coast. When it comes to hidden gems in California, yeah, there might be some, but I think we'd be better served if I told you which beaches to stay away from, because some of the more popular ones suck and they're total tourist attractions and you don't need to go there. Santa Monica Beach, there's no reason to go there. It's basically Disneyland on the sand with homeless people. Then you have Venice Beach, which people always seem to need to go there. You don't need to go there, it's not worth it. I grew up in Southern California and I can tell you with 100% accuracy, you'd be better served going down to Newport or even Torrance Beach. Torrance Beach is one of the better beaches, especially if you want to get away from the tourist type thing. It'll be tempting to go to the Redondo Beach Pier, which is right next to Torrance Beach. Don't. It's not worth it. Number 4, Maine. This one kind of surprised me. Then, I got down and looked at the map and I'm okay, well, I see where this happens. They got a lot of islands off of the coast there that are part of Maine, so it makes sense. Like Oregon, Maine has beautiful coastline. It's not the type of coastline you go out and lay out on the beach, 7-8 months out of the year like you do in Florida or California, but it's still beautiful. If you want to get away from crowds that may show up at a beach in Maine, look at Birch Point Beach State Park. It's a great place during good weather to just go sit, relax, go for a walk. It's a beautiful area. Maine has 3,478 miles of coastline. Number 3, Louisiana. Louisiana takes up a ton of the Gulf of Mexico's coastline. A large portion of it isn't really like beachfront, it's mostly like marsh and swampland, but it still adds to their miles of coastline. Their hidden gem is probably Holly Beach. That's on the Gulf. It is east of the Texas border. So Maine, at number 4, had just a little under 3,500 miles of coastline. Louisiana is a definite step up. They have 7,721 miles of coastline. Number 2, Florida. Yes, I thought Florida would be number 1, but they are number 2. They got a lot of coastline, obviously, but they're nothing compared to number 1. And I'll tell you right now, most people think it's going to be Hawaii. It's not. When it comes to hidden gems for beaches and beach towns in Florida, there's really too many to choose from. I could list 100 and there's going to be people that are going to add another 100 to the comment section. So I'm just going to go off one that I've experienced, I've enjoyed pretty much a whole summer one year. And that's Santa Rosa Beach. That's in the Panhandle near Eglin Air Force Base. If you go there and visit, it's not too far from Panama City or Pensacola for that matter. Florida has 8,436 miles of coast. All right, before we get to number 1, don't forget we have another channel called On This Day. There's a link down below. Now, the answer to the brain check question, how do you get to Cape Charles from Virginia Beach? Is it a tunnel or a bridge? It's actually both. Yeah, it is the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel. It's a bridge for part of it, and then it goes underwater in a tunnel. It's got 2 sections that go underwater. It's pretty impressive. Those things freak me out. I always think disaster movie situation where the water comes rushing in. You're not surviving that one. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, Alaska. Yes, Alaska has the most coastline of any U.S. state, and they've got an insane amount. They blow everyone out of the water. Actually, I think if they had an additional 7,000 miles of coastline, they would beat all the other states on this list combined. Alaska has 33,904 miles of coastline. For some reason, nobody ever thinks, unless you're really into this stuff, that Alaska has the most coastline. They do, and they blow everyone out of the water. Besides the state being huge, they've got all kinds of inlets, fjords, islands, peninsulas. They got it all, and this adds up to a whole lot of beachfront property. Now, as far as hidden gem beaches, really it's Name one. This is the least populated state. If you're looking for some place that not a lot of people go to, it's almost every beach in the entire state. Sure, you got to worry about being eaten by a grizzly, but they got a lot of secluded beaches. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Have a great day. Be nice to each other.